Back on halftime. Got about 30 minutes left on the show here. We wrap it up next segment with 3 up, 3 down. We wanted to bring a new guest onto the show today, Curtis Wilkerson, who is covering Arkansas sports at HawgSports.com. Covers basketball, football, baseball, everything else Razorback. It's his debut appearance on halftime. Hi, Curtis. How you doing today? Thanks for coming on.
Hey, I really appreciate you guys having me on. I love the show. Doing really well. Looks like the weather's clearing up, so we might get a chance to do some practice today.
Good. We want to make sure that they get out there as often as they possibly can. Takeaways from the scrimmage on Friday. I know Coach Pittman had them out there quite a while, a very lengthy scrimmage. What did you take away from everything you were able to pick up on?
Yeah, so 120 plays, that is a lengthy first scrimmage. Sam Pittman talked a little bit about how he wasn't quite sure if the guys were ready for that type of scrimmage and that type of physicality. Wonders a little bit about the conditioning levels, which, for a team that's trying to go a little bit more up-tempo maybe than years past, you have some depth concerns at certain positions. So being in great shape is important, and it's early in camp, so plenty of time to figure that out. But overall, it sounds like he came away pleased, and there are a lot of positive takeaways, especially when you talk about the offensive side of the football. I mean, Felipe Frank sounds like he threw 4 touchdown passes. That's always encouraging, something that you definitely like to hear given the quarterback play the last couple of years. KJ Jefferson sounds like he had a solid day as well, particularly with his legs. So it makes you wonder, about the ability for Sam Pittman, Kendall Briles, maybe to put in a package or some plays to use KJ Jefferson's running ability. And then outside of that, Hudson Henry, we've been wondering about that tight end position, which is a little bit thin. We know there's a lot of potential there, a couple touchdown catches for him. So definitely sounds like some good things offensively.
Speaking of tight ends, we saw that Blaine Toll was moved back to tight end. So it's a little difficult to keep track on where the incoming freshman is playing, because he came in as a D lineman, moves to tight end, then back to D line, now back to tight end. And I guess that's more of a tell of the depth at tight end than anything that Blaine is doing wrong. Would that be accurate?
Sure. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, take a look at that tight end. We've got Hudson Henry. You have a senior with some experience, but still a former walk-on, and Blake Kern, Colin Sutherland, a late addition to the recruiting class last season. And there's there's not a lot of depth there. So when you think about a guy like Blaine Toll, it also speaks to his just overall athleticism. He's put together well physically in high school, obviously playing in a smaller classification at Hazen, but he played on both sides of the ball. They obviously didn't want to take him off of the field, so he's a guy who's familiar to a degree with catching passes and playing on the offensive side of the ball, and then doing his thing defensively on the defensive line. So I think they're impressed with his athleticism, and really he's been humbled and been a team first guy in terms of, hey, coach, wherever you need me, put me there. And that's been a lot of back and forth for him, but so far he's taken it all in stride. It sounds like he's doing well.
Speaking to Curtis Wilkerson here on halftime, Curtis, when you look at the different positions, and aside from quarterback, and I'll even throw running back in there because I feel like Razorback fans and media pundits like ourselves know what we're getting with Felipe Franks and Rakeem Boyd. We know what they bring to the table. Where are the positions that you think there's a chance for an improvement this coming season?
Yeah, the one that stands out to me right off the top there is defensive line. All through the offseason, through the walkthroughs, through the strength and conditioning program, and now that we're 2 weeks into practice, seems like every time we get some availability, whether it's Barry Odom or Sam Pittman or any of the guys on the team, they've really been high on that defensive line. And that's interesting. You think about losing both starters at defensive tackle last year. You wonder what's the depth going to look like there? How are they going to be? But, you think about a guy like junior college transfer Julius Coates, who has been drawing rave reviews for his ability to just be able to get to the quarterback. That Sam Pittman said on Friday after the scrimmage, he's just really hard to block. And he definitely looks the part. I don't know if you guys have been able to see some of the photos of this guy, but he looks like an SEC defensive end. You got Dorian Gerald healthy, seems like he's full go and primed for a big season. Xavier Kelly, the Clemson transfer, just another big body in the middle. So he put on a lot of size. Sounds like they've got some decent athleticism. That might be one of the more improved groups on the team, which is huge because it's all about the trenches in the SEC. So if they can hold their own there, it's going to go a long way towards improving that defense.
I think when you look at it, too, when you've seen different players talk, you've seen the coaches kind of share what they're seeing in practice, and I feel like you can only take this with a grain of salt, but the confidence level of this team, particularly during practices and kind of how the players have related to Sam Pittman and what kind of Sam Pittman has brought to the table for these players, the confidence level for Arkansas fans right now and these players seems to be relatively high right now.
Yeah, it really does, and I understand what you're saying about taking it with a grain of salt. This is that time of year where every team is feeling pretty good about the possibilities. Practicing against yourself, and for the most part, you're going to hear good things that come out of that. But, what Sam Pittman has done in a short time in terms of just kind of breathing some life back into the program, in terms of confidence, the first part to being a good team and kind of getting back on track and winning some games is believing in yourself and your ability to do it. And Pittman, he was quoted something along the lines of, hey, we're not talking about, confidence and things like that. We're trying to show them. So they're doing a good job, I think, of being, positive and reinforcing the good things that they're seeing in practice. And then, the thing that Pittman has really been big about so far is empowering his players to be leaders for themselves and being a player-led team. And he sets the tone for that with his just kind of straightforward, honest, no BS kind of approach to things. And it's been refreshing to the team and to the players, and they're kind of feeding off of that energy. So far, so good from that standpoint.
And when you look at the schedule, kind of how it plays out, and we've talked extensively about the schedule, whether Arkansas got screwed or different things like that. I'm not asking you about that, but when you look at it, I feel like Razorback fans feel like, and us as well, you got a chance at Ole Miss, you got a chance with Mississippi State, you got a chance with Missouri. I think those are the three games that you look at. It was like those are realistic opportunities to get W's. Aside from those three, is there another team on the schedule that you think, Arkansas matches up pretty well against these guys to maybe pull off a quote-unquote upset this year?
Yeah, we got together, the guys at HawgSports, and we kind of did a little roundtable discussion to do our predictions and things like that for the season. So, a game that we're all very interested in is Tennessee. You take a look at Tennessee, and they're definitely a program that's on the rise. They finished last season on a pretty strong winning streak. Now, they weren't necessarily taking down the juggernauts of the SEC, and they're recruiting really well, but it might be another year or two before they're fully back. So I could see Arkansas, having a chance to take down Tennessee. The Texas A&M game, it seems like every year Arkansas is knocking on the door. Could this be the time that they finally break through and get a victory there? And, I still think that they have an unbelievable amount of talent with the way they recruit and the pedigree, but LSU sure has lost a lot. And you wonder, when we get to that point in the season, what the attrition is going to be like for them. I mean, I think they've lost 16, maybe 17 starters. Obviously, you hear the news about Jamar Chase yesterday. They've got a lot of rebuilding to do, and honestly, it's probably reloading. But in terms of experience and depth and things like that, you never know where they're going to be at that point in the season.
Curtis Wilkerson joining us for another couple minutes here. I know you cover anything going on in athletics at Arkansas, but you specialize in basketball and basketball recruiting. And I think that actually might be the most entertaining beat of any of the beats at Arkansas because of the way Eric Musselman recruits through social media, and that you're going to get players coming in from every avenue that you can have incoming players, JUCO transfers, grad transfers, incoming freshmen. I'm not sure if there's a better beat. You're kind of lucky.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I mean, it's really an incredible opportunity, and you're 100% right. The things that Eric Musselman and his staff do from a recruiting standpoint, just from social media, it's incredible. You really enjoy the videos that they put out and the different clips and things of that nature. When they had the signing class that came through over the course of the spring and summer, and the whole deal with answering the phone with the big oversized shoes and things like that, that's creative, and people enjoy that. Being able to pose for the old the pictures of the old NBA scenes and things like that. It's just different, and it's innovative. And really, the ability for Musselman and his staff to be creative and kind of stay a step ahead in the social media game, which is obviously a very big deal, especially for the recruits and things like that, at their age. It's really been impressive. So, coming here and in his first year, bringing a top 10 recruiting class from the high school ranks, bringing the types of transfers that he has, it's a good time to be an Arkansas Razorback basketball reporter, I can tell you that.
Curtis, tell us a little about you. Are you new to the area? I think I'm going to guess, since your Twitter page said you were living in St. Louis, that's where you're from. So tell us about Curtis Wilkerson.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm a native Arkansan, so I grew up over on the northeast corner of the state in Woodruff County in McCrory, so real small town over there. I went to high school. Then I went to college in St. Louis, so went to Lindenwood University up there. Actually stayed in the St. Louis area for about 15 years, so I've got family and stuff up there. Looking for some different opportunities, and obviously I've been a lifelong follower of the Razorbacks and got lucky enough to get this opportunity. So here I am. I saw that you're obviously familiar with Northwest Arkansas, but kind of making it home now, and we're doing the same thing. So kind of getting settled in and enjoying everything so far. It's been great.
All right. Well, we'll definitely try to have you on again, Curtis. Appreciate you coming on. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Curtis.
Hey, definitely appreciate you guys anytime.
And one of my favorite reserve players in the early 90s for the Pittsburgh Pirates also was Curtis Wilkerson. Different guy, though.